some of the fables change, but it has the same principles behind it. And he broke out. She said, okay, you won't be able to reproduce and all. And he got in her womb and walked all over the universe until he could reproduce himself. About like people we know now, they can reproduce themselves. But she said, well, you won't be able to reproduce me. And you know they can't reproduce you. This is all in the fable. And isn't it funny how it just goes right in place? And I read this the first day, and all of a sudden, it went right in place. I mean, it just started falling right in place, and I didn't have to just study just to read something in it because I'm trying to find something. It was there. And so she said, you won't be able to reproduce me. So we understand that his whole thing is to be like her. It's just like the white man's whole thing is to be like God. That's why he can kill over 1 billion people on the earth of indigenous people. And he's got to get rid of the indigenous people to this day to be like God. That's where AIDS comes in and crack and all of this, you see. So, she said, well, he has a placenta, and his placenta is called Earth. This is his placenta. His, I guess it would be his nome or his domain is Earth. And she wanted to destroy him and Earth. Remember now, you can't destroy the opposite because that's duality. So what she did, she made the brother Nomo, which is this fish, representative of this fish. She made this brother. This brother, she said, I'll make him and he will come back and he will sacrifice for his evil brother, Ogu. Ogu is called the pale fox. Pale meaning white, fox meaning sly, slick. You understand how the mythology all of a sudden? I'm not making this up. You understand what I mean? It's in the mythology. You understand? You can't believe me, but please believe the ancient sources or give it some consideration. Give it the benefit of the doubt. So she said, I'm going to create another brother to sacrifice for him. Doesn't that sound about like a little story we do every year? Every Sunday or something? You understand? And Jesus Christ is symbolic of what? The fish. Right? In Piscean age. Right? And she says, I'm gonna sacrifice. He's gonna come down and he's gonna sacrifice. Now if you trace this all the way back to the Egyptian story, Osiris and Isis, which the brother in direct opposition of Osiris is Set. And then they have the Immaculate Conception, and they have the son that come and he revenges Set because of Set killed his father and the whole deal, if you're not familiar with it. Anyway, Isis and Osiris supposedly had brought civilization to the Nile Valley. If you read Temple's book, the Serious Mystery, it tells you how Isis came and Isis and Osiris are the people that supposedly brought civilization to the Nile Valley. Isis is representative of Sirius, which is or Sothis, which is the star that gives you the inundation of the Nile, that gives you the irrigation that the Nile rises and it plants the crops. And Osiris is a corn deity or vegetable type deity. He's symbolized as green, if you see it. So this stuff is all symbolic. So, didn't I say first that, so what we have is this, trying to give you a picture. There's heaven on earth, but earth is Ogu's place, or the pale fox place, or Set's place. Set is the prototype of Satan. That's where they got it from. It's nothing that grew up no different mythology that just grew out of by itself. They all came out of Kemet. It all came from Kemet. So Set, Ogu, or the evil force, his placenta, or his nome is earth. But you have Isis and Osiris, or you have Nomo resurrecting, coming down and sacrificing and bringing civilization. And that civilization, they call it divine kingship in Egypt. As long as you have divine kingship and you carry out the laws of the universe, the Maathian laws, and you carry out these laws, the civilization will keep in place in the nome of Set. You understand? Didn't I tell you that inside of Egypt and Africa was Horus's land, which is the representative of the Egyptian Trinity, the representative of the male and female balance, Isis and Osiris, Heru, is Horus. Aset is Isis. Osa is Osiris. And you have the African nome of the African land is the land of Horus. And outside of that is the land of Set, or Set Type. And in Alan H. Gardner's, one of his books called Opposites Extraordinary, you can't even get them in this country. A lot of this stuff is in French, written in French. Some of this stuff is translated in English. It's in some libraries, but they never print this stuff. And there's hieroglyphics saying everything below Kemet, Horus's land. The people of that known is the people of Horus is the people of God. That's black men and black women. The people above that is the people of Set. That's your Asiatic on into your, which would be Asiatic at that time into your European. This is right there in the Melanesia, right there in the papyrus. I think it's coming from the Chester Beatty papyrus, the British papyrus of the Hieratic papyrus of the British Museum. Now, so he resurrects, and the story, if we trace it all the way back to Kemet, for somehow the people, as well as the Egyptians, got into a Set worship in the latter part by influence of the people that were in Kemet, got into this Set worship based upon a god Baal that is a god of war, and Set is a god of war, and Set is also a god of ignorance. Is a god of ignorance. Now, and the Egyptian pantheon, which all these gods you see was monotheistic from the beginning. You see, it just had different characteristics of God, but they understood that God was bigger. And they understood, they had the knowledge of God. And the knowledge of God had principles. And all the gods that you see are actually principles. And when you put them together like a jigsaw puzzle, it represents one God. The European, the Asiatic, and all of the others that came in could not understand that concept because they could only look at what was literal to them. They couldn't, you understand? And they couldn't understand the concept. So this God, somehow, there was a Baal God, is a god of war. And you got this God of knowledge is also the God. And Baal, when the Egyptians came in and the Asiatics came in the first invasion in the 14th, 15th, and 16th dynasties called the Hyksos came over 200 years, they came and they was worshiping this God Baal. They said, oh, that's the representative of Set. That's Set. And so, this, and which is a god of ignorance, a god of war, a god of disorder, a god of homosexuality. You know, I am a vengeful God, I am a jealous God, I am a God of fear. God-fearing people. And also, if Kemet is the God of knowledge, because there's no religion hiding truth. Because if you study truth, you're going to get everything that's supposed to get in the first place, so therefore you're going to know God. You understand how that goes?